it's going to log that. If you have an incorrect PIN, it's going to log that. It'll log every little detail. And it may not sound so exciting for somebody's home, right? But if you're a hotel, or if you're a business, if you have a law firm or something that you really want to track and track the entire log, you have a complete audit log of every single activity. Between that and the camera footage, the liability risk comes down a lot, and that's one of the things that we try to really explain to people.
Welcome to CRE Radio for influential commercial real estate professionals who work with investors, buyers, and sellers of commercial real estate coast to coast. Whether you're an investor, broker, lender, property manager, attorney, or accountant, we're here to learn from the experts.
Welcome to Commercial Real Estate Pro Network's CRE Radio. Thanks for joining us. My name is J. Darren Gross. This is the podcast focused on commercial real estate investment and risk management strategies. Weekly, we have conversations with commercial real estate investors and professionals who provide their experience and insight to help you grow your real estate portfolio. Today's interview is sponsored by Building Insurance and Risk. When you invest in real estate, it pays to work with a real estate investor protection specialist to protect yourself and your investment from catastrophic loss. The experts at Building Insurance and Risk focus on real estate investor protection. They provide you with multiple insurance coverage offers and a side-by-side coverage comparison. To learn more, go to buildinginsurancerisk.com. Today, my guest is Oscar Hedaya. Oscar is the CEO of Space, the company behind the Space Safe. Oscar has scaled multiple businesses and now focuses on modernizing physical security for commercial and hospitality environments to reduce operational and liability risk. And in just a minute, we're going to speak with Oscar Hedaya about the Space Safe. But first, a quick reminder, if you like our show, CRE Radio, there are a couple things you can do to help us out. You can like, share, and subscribe. And as always, we encourage you to leave a comment. We love to hear from our listeners. Also, if you want to see how handsome our guests are, be sure to check out our YouTube channel. You can find us on YouTube at Commercial Real Estate Pro Network. And while you're there, please subscribe. With that, I want to welcome my guest, Oscar Hedaya. Welcome to CRE Radio.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Well, I'm glad you're here, and I'm looking forward to our conversation. But before we get started, if you could take just a minute and share with the listeners a little bit about your background.
Yeah. So again, thanks for having me. Like you stated before, this is the third company that I've been involved in. This is the third startup that I've helped scale. I've been in product development and sales for over 20 years, and I love tech. And so I've jumped in a couple of different industries, and this is the latest venture that I've been involved in.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about the Space Safe. And I guess one of the questions that I start with, I guess, what is it?
Yeah, so the Space Safe, it is a modern safe. So you could think of traditional safes, which make 99% of safes sold today. They're just a metal box. And so what we've done is we've developed and introduced a smart safe, which we consider a modern safe. It has a lot of different technology, so you're always connected with your valuables. So you can think of like Ring doorbell, but for safes. And whilst Ring monitors, what we do specifically is we monitor and secure.
Got it. And so tell me a little bit about what's the technology. Describe what we're talking about as far as technology that's you compared to the traditional safes being kind of a box. What do we have here on the technology side of things? Yeah,
so more specifically, for our safe, we have a touch screen, we have cameras, we have tons of different tamper sensors, and it connects to your cell phone. And because it's connected on the internet, and because we have a touch screen, we're able to introduce features that have never ever been seen before. One of our features is panic pin, right? Because we have a touch screen, everything that somebody does is on the touch screen, right? So you set up your safe the same way you would set up an iPhone or an iPad, and it asks you a series of different questions. You have many different features that you're able to have. Everything is super interactive. But like I was saying, we have this feature called panic pin. So if somebody, an assailant comes to you, let's say with a weapon, and they say, open your safe, you could still open your safe, but you have a unique pin that you enter in like a panic mode. And so it'll open your safe, but it'll also notify either the police or or a loved one, whatever you choose to be part of the notifications. And like I was saying before, everything is super customizable with this safe, which no other safe does. And so that's kind of the way we're working with tech specifically. No other safe has the level of technology and features that we offer. And again, if I go back to what I was saying before, 99% of safes sold today have nothing. And so that means if something happens to your safe, you would have no idea. But with our safe, you're instantly notified and have full visibility and control at any given moment.
Got it. So I got to ask, is kind of the not an anti-technology guy, but just a guy that has his own challenges with technology.
Yeah.
So you're plugged into tech, which is always tech is awesome when it works.
Mm-hmm.
What do we? What happens if whether the internet's down or power outage or that stuff? Are there backups? How is it? How is it?
Yeah. So great question. So our safe doesn't need internet to be used. Our safe needs internet for like camera footage or to do live streaming, to get notifications, live notifications. Aside from that, you don't need internet to use our safe. This safe is our first safe that we've invented. We do have plans to release other safes that won't be connected to the internet, and so they'll always be up and running. That's number one. Number two, you asked specifically about power, right? So you can think of this safe like a tablet, right? It has a touch screen. It's always on. It's connected to the wall 24/7. In the event that the power does go out, we have a backup battery, and the backup battery will power the device for up to 24 hours. So that means if you have a blackout, if somebody cuts the power, anything like that, if the power goes out, you get notified. If the battery is still draining, you get notified every from 70% down every 10 percentage drops. If all else fails and the power completely goes out on the safe, you have two ways to open the safe, either with mechanical keys. And we have a company that we've partnered with in Europe. They're a high security lock company. They're incredible. So you could either unlock it that way, which is super secure, or if you want to power up the safe with like a power bank, you could do that as well.
Got it. I just in my recent experience, I had an issue the other day with software and downloads, and yeah, I had this picture for a second. I thought, oh, what happens if your internet connection is down? And I'm glad to hear that that's not necessarily a problem. That's so. I mean, that makes sense. That's more for the monitoring of the video.
Exactly.
Yeah, makes sense.
And so this thing is super. It's still very secure, even if you're not connected to the internet, right?
Right.
And that's one of the things that like we have again, like I'm speaking as a biased person in my mind. I have a ton of the features just like, going through my head, and the viewers, the listeners don't know them. But like one of the features we have is a lockdown mode, right? So somebody enters a pin incorrectly 3 times, it goes into this lockdown mode. A ridiculously loud alarm at 130 decibels starts sounding. You have lights flashing. It's really something that's super annoying, but it's unique. and you don't need internet to have that, right? So another thing is if somebody tries to move the safe, we have, like I was saying before, we have tamper sensors, right? So if you're one of the people who likes to be offline or off the grid, you could still have those features that are active, right? So if somebody's moving the safe, the lockdown will come on, the screen will not be accessible to anybody, and the only way to get in is with either the mobile app or the keys, right? So, and again, you'll have this annoying, horrible, horrible alarm. You have a message that's flashing on the screen saying that the police are on their way. It's really, there is no other safe that does something like this, and that's one of the things we love, that we have the tech for that.
Got it. So, with respects to the users, um, are you able to have uh, multiple people that have access to the safe, or is it for one and one
Yeah,
only?
so great question. So yes, we do have multiple users allowed. Each user has their own profile. Each profile has their own PIN number, their own mobile app account. They have their own fingerprints, uh, and also something I didn't specify before was we have two-factor authentication on the safe if you want to set it up, right? So if you want that extra level of security, and so yes, each user has their own profile, their own settings, their own security pins that they select, and you could select either a pin or a pattern. And again, everything is set up from the safe's screen, so it's super, super, super interactive, very easy to understand. I think a child could even set it up if they wanted to. But yeah, and so one of the biggest problems that I personally had before I started this company a couple of years ago was I bought a safe. I needed a safe, and I bought a safe, and I gave my father access to the safe, and we didn't know if it worked. We didn't know if he actually gained access to the safe. We didn't know if the enrolled fingerprint worked, right? We set a second fingerprint. And so that was the biggest gap, in my opinion, is with other safes, if you're not looking for tech or whatever. But the biggest issue with those safes is you don't know if a fingerprint was enrolled, if it was deleted, if you change what's it called, the PIN code, if you do a secondary, because there are some safes that have secondary pins. The problem is you just don't know when you try to change it or enroll if something actually happens. And so specifically for my father, I set him up as a fingerprint, a second fingerprint, and it said it was enrolled, but when we went to use it, it never worked. And when I tried to delete it and enroll again, this is a different company than mine, you have no idea what's happening. And so that's one of the reasons why we love the screen, because it's super interactive and you know everything that's happening. Specifically for fingerprints, you could see it'll say like, hey, which fingerprints on your hand were enrolled specifically. So it's a great product. It's a great security product. And I'm not saying that because it's mine, but
No, I appreciate the answer there. And I'm curious too, do you have access to like a report as to who was in the safe at a particular time, or does it tell who opened and closed, or can you get a report or?
yeah. So that's for me one of the biggest things is we have an audit log. So every single thing that happens on the safe is completely tracked, right? So if you try to get into the safe, it's going to log that. If you have an incorrect PIN, it's going to log that. It'll log every little detail. And it may not sound so exciting for somebody's home, right? But if you're a hotel or if you're a business, if you have a law firm or something that you really want to track and track the entire log, you have a complete audit log of every single activity. Between that and the camera footage, the liability risk comes down a lot, and that's one of the things that we try to really explain to people, because there is no other safe that does it to the extent that we do it.
Got it. So I meant to ask you earlier, is this your design?
Yeah, yeah. So this is my design. Um, I designed it about 4 years ago, and yeah, this is the first safe, like I was telling you before. We do have plans to release about five other safes. We're in the middle right now of raising for our company, and we're also we're growing our business in a very big way right now. So the quicker we're able to get funds, the quicker we're able to expand our product line. But
Got
yeah,
it.
yeah, all of, and it's true, by the way, the viewers don't know this, but our safe doesn't look like a traditional safe, right? So it has rounded corners. The front is all glass. It doesn't look like a safe. So I'm
Well, tell us a little bit about that. Is it one particular size, or are there multiple sizes, or
Yeah, so right now it's just this one size. It's the
uh,
most common safe size. It's about 16 inches wide by 16 inches deep by 10 inches height. Again, it's the most common safe size. And we have already designed other safes that we plan to release over the next 12 months. Different sizes, different designs, and slightly different features for each one of them. So we could get different price point levels and to reach different types of customers as well. But all of them are really gorgeous, if I may say so myself.
and where would one typically position a safe? I mean, I'm assuming are they mounted to the floor, to the wall, or how are you seeing people?
So this safe specifically is 70 pounds. The average safe weight in this class for this size is about 20 to 30 pounds. So we're about double the weight. We have about double the steel in there as well. Um, we have pre-drilled holes in the back and the bottom. So people can and should either drill it into the floor or into the wall. This specific safe, like I was telling you before, it doesn't look like an ordinary safe, right? So if you kept it out, which I've seen people do, um, it's still great because nobody would expect, a safe to be out in the open, especially if it doesn't look like a safe. And we have screensavers on there, which we call lock screens, and so you can really customize it however you want. Like you could put a picture of you there on the screen, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Um, so who's an ideal prospect for your safe here?
It's funny because when I first started this company, I thought the biggest customers were going to be consumers like me and you in our home. Um, as I launched the company and started to see sales come in, we started seeing like, hey, it's not necessarily just people's homes, that they're keeping this. I've seen tons of lawyers, doctors' offices, and the other thing that really has started to develop for us also is Airbnbs and hotels, right? So again, these are if you're staying in an Airbnb and you're using this safe, if you're not home, you're able to track what's happening in real time. And for somebody like me, I've stayed in Airbnbs before. It's a little scary that like people you go to these Airbnbs and they use the same pin codes for everybody who's stayed there before you. So technically, you're not safe there. A hotel is much more safe because nobody has access to your room except for like the housekeeping services, right? But with an Airbnb, you're really not protected at all. And so if you're traveling and carrying, you're international and you're carrying your passport, it's a great way to protect either cash that you're carrying or passport and leave it in the safe where it's really tracked 24/7. So if somebody does go in while you're not there, you'll know if something's happening to the safe.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I hadn't thought it through there, but I could see definitely as a traveler, wanting to keep your stuff safe and whether you're in the room sleeping or you're out and about doing things, have that locked up. That's good.
Yeah, and so similar with like hotels, right? We're in the middle
Yeah.
of we're in the middle of talking with big hotel chains right now, and you could just imagine if the safe, if they have our safes and you decide to use our safe, and you're not in the room, you're going to get a text message notification. You don't have to download our app, but you get a text message notification saying like, "Hey, incorrect PIN was entered." Right? I Nobody trusts hotel safes today, but if you receive that notification, you're going to love that safe and you're running back. And one of the other features we have also, which is again super different than anything that exists, is if you left something in the safe and you checked out of the hotel, this hotel safe will stay closed and you'll get a notification saying, "Hey, you left something in the hotel safe."
Hmm. And with that, I'm assuming, so you check out, it'll tell you that you left something in the safe.
Exactly.
And then I'm assuming then the next, I'm just trying to think through there, the transition from the one guest to the next guest. Is it a reset, or how
Yeah.
how
So
how would you check out? Yeah.
if you left something inside the safe, right, the checkout is connected. Whenever you check into a hotel, you know, there's a whole back end system for the hotels. So that information is fed through into the safe. So it knows the date you're checking in, it knows the date you're checking out. If you left something in the safe, then it won't check you out of the safe, even if you're checked out of the hotel. That's for security reasons, right? Let's say you left your passport in there or a diamond ring or your Rolex watch, right? You don't want, if the next guest does check in, you don't want him to have access to that safe, right?
Right.
So you'll get a notification and the hotel will get a notification. That way they could deal with it accordingly.
No, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because I could
And
just see without that, the thing gets reset. All of a sudden, the next guest opens it up and wow, look at this.
exactly.
And, they weren't honest. I don't know what you're talking about. There's nobody's been here. So that could be problematic. That's good. That's good. Um, so I'm curious I mean, we've talked about, some of the applications we talked about, individuals, but now you're finding hotels and Airbnbs and that. Um, what is it that drives? I mean, is it just a sense of wanting to be safe, or is there a concern of like crime, or what is it that drives people to, um, wanting a safe?
I got to tell you this. So there's two types of people, right? The gun owners are required in 17 states to have a safe to store their gun somehow. So for them, no matter what, they need some kind of safe, and a safe like ours that doesn't allow people to come in without, you could add secondary layers of security, which other safes don't have. That's a really big, in my opinion, something that's very important. I was at a trade show and somebody was telling me at a gun trade show, and somebody told me that his kid went into the safe and he was like 8 or 10 years old, and he showed his friend, same age, the gun, and he's like, "Man, I wish I had your safe. It would never have happened." Right. And so, how did he find out? His son said something to him. But yeah, so here's the story, right? You take last year alone, there was $47 billion that were stolen. This is in scams. This is in actual theft. And given the opportunity, people are going to steal. That's the truth, right? Not everybody is fortunate enough to have whatever funds or whatever they need to survive. They steal, and that's part of the problem, right? There's a reason I think I love it. There's a reason in my opinion, there's a reason why the Bible says as one of the 10 laws, "Thou shalt not steal." Right? It's nothing new. It's been happening for thousands and thousands of years. So most people have something that they need to save in a safe. Whether it's a family heirloom, whether you have money or you don't have money, it's almost irrelevant because almost everybody leaves something for you when they pass if you don't have the funds, right? I remember my grandfather left me a gold watch, and it wasn't an expensive watch. It just, for me, it had a lot of significant value because it was my grandfather's. He passed. He wore it for 50 years. I never wore it a day in my life, but it's in my safe. So keeping a safe and storing things inside is much better than leaving it in a sock drawer for somebody to break in and take it. Um, and the most important thing is if something does happen, right? It's much better to be preventative than if something does happen to go after and say like, oh my God, now it's much easier to spend $500 or $1,000 on a safe or even $50, whatever kind of safe is good for you. But it's much cheaper to spend money on a safe so people can't break in and steal what you're taking instead of filing a claim with your insurance for thousands of dollars that were theft, which were stolen, or even if it's just $1,000 which was stolen. Being preventative is a lot better.
Yeah, amen to that. You mentioned cost. I'm curious, what is kind of the cost? What's the pricing on your safe?
Yeah, so our safe costs $1,300,
Okay.
and we also offer I think we're the only people to do this in the industry, but we also offer a 4-year special warranty and insurance plan on the safe as well for $200, for $200 more with a $0 deductible. So that means if something happens to your safe, for $200, you're covered for 4 extra years. Again, it's a $0 deductible. In my opinion, it's a no-brainer, and it took us a long time to build out this plan for people. But I guess for $1,500 all in, you have like 4 years of no matter what happens, you're good.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Now, I'm just trying to think. The product is unique. I mean, you've got a unique application there with uh, the screen and the ability to enter and multiple users and all the recording and reporting and be able to be aware. It's sounds like a neat deal. It's good.
Yeah. Thank you. I think the biggest mistake is people can become very comfortable with outdated systems and they feel familiar. Um, but when you see something that's so far advanced compared to anything out there that exists already, it's almost like a no-brainer. And we see it with cameras, we see it with robot vacuums. Everybody has their own use case for what they would need something like that for. Uh, but to take an outdated product and industry and update it. This is the first of the safes in our opinion, and that's really what kind of is going to be a great thing for other people is any business that kind of does that. You're really setting yourself apart.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, Oscar, if we could, I'd like to shift gears here for a second.
Yep.
As I mentioned before we started, by day I'm an insurance broker, and as such, I work with my clients to assess risk and determine what to do with the risk. And there's three strategies that we typically consider. We first look to see if we can avoid the risk. If that's
Mhm.
not an option, we look to see if we can minimize the risk. And if we're not able to avoid nor minimize, we look to see if we can transfer the risk. That's what an insurance policy is. It's a risk transfer vehicle. And as such, I like to ask my guest if they can look at their own situation. Could be your clients, the economy, uh, crime rates, whatever it is that you identify and consider to be the biggest risk. And again, for clarification, while I am an insurance broker, I'm not necessarily looking for an insurance-related answer. And so if you're willing, I'd like
Yep.
to ask you, Oscar Hedaya, what is the biggest risk?
Yeah, I mean the biggest risk in general for I'm in the security business, so I'm in this business for a reason. I think that there's so much theft out there, and there's so many reasons for people to need to steal that for me, that's one of the biggest risks. That if you don't protect yourself and be preventative, then you're risking the fact that you're going to lose a lot more without being preventative.
Yeah. No, it's sad but true. And like I said, an ounce of prevention can go a long ways to avoiding the problems there. So that's good. Hey, Oscar, where can the listeners go if they'd like to learn more or connect with you?
Yeah, so you could go to the website is www.thespacesafe.com. If you want to reach out to me, just hit the contact form. And if it's directed to me, somebody from the company will forward the email to me. Otherwise, if you have any questions for us, just email us there.
Awesome. Well, Oscar Hedaya, I cannot say thanks enough for taking the time to talk. I've enjoyed it. I learned a lot and look forward to doing it again soon.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right.
Have a great day. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you too. For our listeners, if you like this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Remember, the more you know, the more you grow. That's all we've got this week. Until next time, thanks for listening to Commercial Real Estate Pro Network's CREPN Radio.
You're listening to CREPN Radio for influential commercial real estate professionals. For more information on this or any of our guests, like us on Facebook, CREPN Radio.